On this day, the 28th of January, 1547, the death of King Henry VIII. Famed for his huge personality, his ever-increasing frame, and those 6 wives, Henry VIII looms large over English and British history even today. On Friday the 28th of January 1547, death finally caught up with this larger-than-life character at the age of 55. When Sir Anthony Denny finally plucked up the courage to tell the ailing Henry that he was unlikely to live long and should consider making his final confession, Henry reportedly replied that Christ would pardon me all my sins, yea, though they were greater than can be. Everything about Henry had to be bigger and better, and he seemed to know that this included his sinning. The day before his death, Henry was seen by a confessor to receive absolution and Holy Communion. That night, he passed away. The precise cause of death is unclear, but Henry had been in increasingly poor health for years. Overweight, suffering from an open, ulcerated wound on his leg, and possibly dealing with other conditions like diabetes, years of excess had finally caught up with the once athletic king. Henry's death was kept a secret, his body undisturbed in his chamber for 3 days as arrangements were made for the succession of his 9-year-old son as King Edward VI. It wasn't until the 31st of January that the Lord Chancellor announced the King's death to Parliament. The King's body was embalmed, placed in a lead coffin, and he lay in state at Whitehall for several days. On the 14th of February, Henry was taken from Whitehall to Windsor, where he had wished to be buried in St George's Chapel, which his grandfather, King Edward IV, had founded as a Yorkist mausoleum. It took 16 yeomen to lower Henry into the ground beside his 3rd wife, Jane Seymour, the mother of the new king. Henry had planned a fine, ornate tomb originally designed for Cardinal Wolsey, but taken on by Henry. Work was never completed on it though, and to this day, one of England's most famous, influential and dangerous kings lies beneath a plain stone on the floor of St George's Chapel. He'd begun full of promise, but the increasingly desperate pursuit of a son had led him in ever darker directions, radically altering the face of England forever. Sir Thomas More, the one-time close friend of the king who was executed for opposing the break with Rome, offered a chilling warning to anyone dealing with Henry. "You often boast to me that you have the king's ear, and often have fun with him, freely and according to your whims. This is like having fun with tamed lions. Often it's harmless, but just as often there is fear of harm. Often he roars in rage for no known reason, and suddenly the fun becomes fatal." On this day in 1547, the fun and the danger was ended.